Your website can be optimized for large devices, medium devices, small devices, and even extremely small devices, all by using Bootstrap grid system. So before we actually start with this tutorial, I want to first explain you the basics that you need to understand, and then we are going to dive into the code. So in Bootstrap, there are just a couple of the things that you need to learn, and then you will be able to pretty much create the design for any size of the device. So let's say this is our website, like our browser, okay? So now in the Bootstrap, first thing that you need to create is some container, and then inside that container you are able to put all the rows and the columns. That's all that Bootstrap have. So if this is our website, you have two types of the containers. If you want to have the container that will take the entire width of this browser, then you are going to use container fluid, okay? And then if you want to have some fixed width, so let's say like this, okay, so this will be your website, this is fixed width, you are going to use only the container. And then once we start writing the code, this will make a lot of the sense, but first please understand it like this. And then the next thing that you have in the Bootstrap grid system is the rows, okay, so this is a row, okay, and then I will say here, okay, we have like row, okay, and then the next thing that we have are the columns. So let's say we have here 3 columns, here we have 2, and then here we can have as many as we want, up to 12, okay, so those are the columns. So now if we think about this, we can understand that basically in order to create some layout, we first need to define our container. Inside that container, we need to define how many rows we want, and then inside each row, we need to define the columns. Now, the thing is that those columns can be up to 12, okay, and if you have more than 12, then each column will be just go to the stacking, okay, so that's the issue. So now if we want to create those 3 identical columns, we will say that this will be 4, 4, 4. So now in sum this is 12. If we want to have those 2, it will be 6 and 6. And then if we want to have those 5 columns, now we can't make them identical because it's 5, but what we can do, we can say, okay, I want to have, this is like 2, this is 1, so now this is 5 in total, but we can say, okay, this will be again 1, so this is 6, and then we can have this one 6, okay, so now here when we draw this doesn't look like symmetrical with the number, but as you can see in total this is 12, okay, 12, 12, 12, and then inside each of those columns we are going to put the content. And now this layout will stay like this based on the element that you put here, okay. So now here we can have medium, we can have large, we can have small, and then extremely small, okay. And then here you need to specify just the number that you want to hear, okay. So let's say if we want to create this one, it says 6. If we want to create this one, it will be column, and then depending on the size that you want, let's say small, then number 4, okay. And that's all that we need to know. So let me now show you how to write the code. So now I'm here at my PHP store, and the first thing that we are going to do is we will just create the basic HTML document. Maybe I will just change title to the Bootstrap grid system, okay. And now we need to include the Bootstrap library. So I will go to the getbootstrap.com. I will go to the download. And then here we have multiple options. We are able to download source files. We are able to use CDN links or maybe use one of the package managers. There are so many available that we can use. But in our case, I will just use CDN link. Okay, and I will put it just after the title. Okay, so now, as we said before, we need first to have one container, then a row, then columns. So first I will say I want to create one container. The container can be just container or container fluid. For now we will just use container, and I will show you the difference a little bit later. Then we need to have at least one row, and then inside this row we are able to add just different columns. So for now I will just say column, and maybe I will just say here column 1, and this will be column 2. And now if we go to our browser and see what we have, you can see that we have 2 columns, but at the moment it's very hard to see the size of them. So maybe I will just apply few different Bootstrap classes. First one is that I want for the first column background to be dark and text, let's say white. And then for the column 2 we can just say background info. Okay, let's see now. Okay, so now as you can see we have 2 columns with exactly same size, and if we resize and start moving around, it will always maintain that size, because here we didn't define the type of the devices for which we create this, and we didn't define the size. So if we want to say this will be size 4 and this one will be size 8, as we said it needs to be 12. Okay, now when we refresh you can see now that this one is much bigger than the column 1, and when we keep resizing it will maintain the size. But the things will change when we define for which type of the devices we create this. So maybe we can say for now I want this for medium devices. Okay, so let's see what will happen. So for medium it is the same size, and as you can see I can keep resizing up to the some point, and you can see here. Okay, and now boom, after 768 pixels it will go to the stacking. Okay, you can see now on 769 it's this, and when we move a little bit it will go to the stacking. So that's how your website is going to be optimized. So if you create everything for the medium devices, now when it's mobile it will compress all those columns and just put them one over the another. Okay, now if we change this to, for example, large devices, you will be able to see now that much earlier when we have it like this big, now much earlier it will go to the stacking. So I guess 992. Okay, okay, it's here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now it's full. Now when we go to the stacking, okay, you can see, and now it will stay like that. So maybe the best for you to see this is if we duplicate maybe 3 times. Okay, so maybe here I will just say this is row 1. Okay, this one will be, let's say, row 2, and this one will be row 3. Okay, so first one, let's say, will be for small devices, the second one will be for the medium, and the third one will be for the large. So now when we refresh, you can see now that all 3 rows are in one line, but when we start resizing, you will see now that after 992, okay, just a little bit, okay, you can see now that row 3 is going into the stacking, and now row 3 column 1 and column 2 is one over the another. Now if we keep resizing, okay, 768, just a little bit, okay, here, now you can see that row 2 is on the stacking while row 1 is still maintaining the size. So if we resize even more, boom, now all of them are one over the another. Now there are just few more devices like extremely small and extremely large, but that's really rare case scenario when you are going to use them, because usually when you design something for the large, it will be applied for the extremely large, and when you create something for the small, you will want to have the same layout for the extremely small. So those two are really rare case scenarios when are you going to use those. Now here we have so many different options in order to how we are going to manipulate the content. Do we want to put it to the right, the left, and stuff like that? But I guess that overall in this tutorial, if you understand this, it will be more than enough for you to understand the Bootstrap grid system. And then if you want to really dive deep and learn a lot more about Bootstrap, then I want to invite you to visit my course where I show you everything about the Bootstrap, and then also I'm teaching you JavaScript and jQuery, MySQL, PHP, and then at the end we are going to create entire content management system, something like WordPress. So when you go through that course, you are able to basically understand and create anything when it comes to the creating websites. So if you want to visit that, please check this link. So guys, if you like this video, please like it and share it to your friends. And of course, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave it in the comments below and I will make sure to answer all of them. Take care.